this is why we need to be at the forefront of this fight against counterfeiting to ensure that we help protect the reputation not only of our sector, but also of their customers, the brand owners, and consequently the health and safety of consumers.
Welcome everyone to this episode of Dark Matters series of interviews. The Dark Matters series is a sequence of interviews with experts and personalities around the world with the aim to expose the dark side where accreditation, standards, and accredited conformity assessment are not used. We hope by exposing the dark side that we help the bright side get brighter. Today we're going to talk about counterfeiting, and we're going to see the perspective of the tech industry, testing, inspection, certification, and see how the tech industry can also help in the fight against the counterfeiting. And who's better to have as an interview today with as the expert for this interview than Mrs. Hanan Taidi, the Tech Council Director General. She will be hopefully helping us to have the perspective of the tech industry and see what are the effects of counterfeiting on the tech industry, but also how the tech industry is helping in the global fight against counterfeiting. So Ms. Hanan Taidi is the Director General of the Tech Council. She was appointed in June 2019. She was also the Director General of IFIA since July 2016. She represents globally the testing, inspection, and certification industry, a sector that really provides independent conformity assessment around the world. And it has a significant amount of investments in it. So its combined revenue is over 30 billion euros. And also it employs around 400,000 employees around the world. So Mrs. Hanan, she worked also previously in Dupont de Nemours International, a marketing communication director. She also worked as director of communications at Plastics Europe. In 2014, she was also appointed by the European Commission as the rapporteur for the expert group who developed the recommendations on systemic eco-innovation. And also she was a lecturer in a number of universities like the Institute of European Studies, ULB, and Quadriga University in Berlin. I'm very happy to welcome you with us today, Hanan. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Brahim. Hello, everyone. And hopefully, indeed, today we will be exploring the brighter sides of things and how tech sector and accreditation bodies can help in this fight. So first of all, Brahim, million thanks for involving me and the Tech Council in this great initiative from the IAF. I really am absolutely delighted to be part of this. Before we get into the subject, I would like to very quickly introduce the Tech Council, the organization that I represent. So indeed, Tech Council is a global organization. We are happily representing over 100 international independent third-party testing, inspection, and certification companies that operate across the world and that have various portfolios, various sizes, etc. Our headquarters is here in Brussels, where I'm talking to you today, but we also have offices in India, in Gurgaon specifically, in the US, representing the Americas, and recently we opened our representation office in Shanghai in China. The motto and the aspiration that we have chosen for our organization, and which we haven't chosen lightly, is to be the independent voice of trust. So to hold true to this motto, Brahim, we expect our members to adopt a highly ethical business conduct. And this is why becoming a Tech Council member actually entails the implementation of a mandatory compliance code that is verifiable annually by external auditors to ensure that our members enshrine the highest ethical values in their business practices. So this brings me to the topic at hand today. I really am happy to discuss with you this growing issue of counterfeiting. As most of you already know, the testing, inspection, certification sector is a how shall I say, the repository of a wealth of knowledge and competence, given the variety of industries that it covers, as you know, given that you guys accredit them. So you know the the wide knowledge and competence it takes to be a tech company. But ultimately, if we want to sum up the kind of services that this industry provides in a single word, it boils down to trust. That's the only commodity that they're selling, right?
Yeah.
So this is why we need to be at the forefront of this fight against counterfeiting to ensure that we help protect the reputation not only of our sector, but also of their customers, the brand owners, and consequently the health and safety of consumers.
Very good. I think this is very interesting. I think your perspective with these offices around the world, and also with the work that inspection, testing, and certification bodies they do, as you said, accredited around the world, they bring that trust. But also, I think they see the dark side, because every time they go to make assessments, every time they see the products in the market, they can see how counterfeiting is growing and how it's affecting the tech industry. I wanted to understand with you, and also for our listeners, how does counterfeiting affect the tech industry specifically, like testing labs, inspection bodies, and certification bodies? Are they affected by the counterfeiting? And how is that seen by your perspective around the world?
So, yeah, Brahim, actually, the key word here is trust. As I told you, the only commodity that our sector sells is trust. And a non-compliant or rogue operator who wants to counterfeit obviously uses this concept of trust that the consumers have in a mark that they're familiar with, that they see, in order to assuage their concerns and to lull them into this sense of security that they are buying a product that is of quality or that is simply meeting the requirement, right? There is here a specific case that I can give you that happened a couple of years ago to one of our members, UL. And I give you as an example because it's publicly available and we're able to talk about it now. It was actually related to the Apple charger. So Apple themselves could not go and sue the counterfeiting manufacturer because the charger did not have the Apple brand on it. But what the charger had was the UL brand, the UL certificate. So therefore, UL went and sued this counterfeiting brand, and a judge in California convicted this counterfeiter for $1 million because of this false sense of security that they were creating by using the UL mark. So people identify a brand, a mark, and they see it, be it here in Europe, the Truths, or in the US UL, or the Intertech mark, what have you. And then they think that the product is safe. So this
is the real danger, because it's not only a question of these criminal organizations that just want to put smuggle some products who are not in conformity just in the market, but also they build on the trust that the conformity assessment community and accreditation community puts on the world, and they put those products as if they are in conformity. And this goes maybe beyond the fact they are taking money, but there are maybe some safety concerns in this regard, right?
Absolutely. And if you're talking about chargers, I mean, here you can talk about electrical shocks. There are dangers that are related specifically to pharmaceuticals. Pharmaceuticals is also one of the most counterfeited product.
Especially in the pandemic, right? During this last period where people are looking forward for medicine.
And actually, even before, I have to say, this has been because the market counterfeiting is a hugely lucrative business. There has been a report that was jointly published by the OECD and the European Union Intellectual Property Office, EUIPO, on global trade in fakes. It was published in 2021, and the volume of international trade in counterfeit and pirated products amounted to as much as $464 billion. Wow. This obviously surpasses the GDP of some countries like
It's very lucrative because they don't do a lot of work. They just copy IPs. They just do things that are cheap. They do not do testing, and they don't go through the processes of making the products in conformity and sell the product same price as the ones that have been made conform. So that is why I think this is a business that makes a lot of rogue operators go in it. But I think also the point that you've been saying, Hanan, which is I think very relevant, is that this question of trust affects the tech industry. So the tech industry is harmed. So the consumers are harmed, the trade is harmed, but also the good people, the bright side, those who are investing in equipment and personnel and inspectors and auditors, they are also affected because in the end, their mark is used and the trust they build is used for bad purposes.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. And actually, our members, those that have those type of marks and face this type of issues, have a couple of initiatives and programs in place to address this. So there are those that are working with law enforcement authorities to create education packages, actually, to make sure that the law authorities identify those fake certificates and so on. And this has been working actually extremely well. I've attended a couple of conferences organized by Interpol. Last one, unfortunately, in person, was organized in Dubai. It's called the Law Enforcement Conference on intellectual property rights, and it's attended by all sorts of brand owners and obviously law enforcement authorities. The FBI is there, Homeland Security is there, Europol is there, Interpol, and it's actually hosted every year by a police from a country, as it is under the umbrella of Interpol. And there you see stands of cooperation between our members and the law enforcement authorities in their countries, and a couple of very, very interesting examples. So I went to visit a stand by the FBI, and actually an agent there was explaining to me that they work so closely with our member companies that they became aware of what sort of product this company certifies or not. So there was a shipment of hoverboards coming into the US, and this agent looked at those hoverboards and he sees the UN mark. I can cite them because again it's a public case, and he immediately picks up his phone and calls them saying, I know that you guys don't certify this type of products at that time, so this is probably a counterfeit. And that's how they stopped a shipment of 400,000 pieces.
And I think this is the important thing, is to have that network. So really, I think taking action is not a luxury anymore. I think we need to take action. This is very important, that the tech industry takes action, not only awareness, but also using the power of the network of conformity assessment bodies and accreditation bodies around the world. The good people have also to network, like the rogue organizations, they are networking to have that underground system. I think we have to network. And I know that you in tech, you have a lot of actions. So not only awareness, but a lot of other actions. Can you give us information about what you do in tech industry and in the Tech Council, so that we can know that really there are some fight going on and not letting these rogue organizations do what they want?
Yeah, no, indeed. I mean, and this relates to our presence worldwide, in that we are absolutely blessed, and we do make this effort to use this global reach to spread awareness on the issues that are related to counterfeiting. But first of all, we have created an anti-counterfeiting committee. The scope of the committee is to provide an international unified front to help in this fight against counterfeiting at a global level. Under the action of the committee, we have undertaken a variety of activities. So to name but a few, we launched an awareness campaign in December 2021, and I smile because it's not very usual for our industry, not either of a lot of B2B industries. So this campaign is called Check the Fake and Be Safe, and it's targeting specifically consumers and consumers associations that we're hoping would amplify the message to create this awareness. The campaign is driven mainly through social media at regular intervals, and the protagonists are the mishaps. So the Mishaps are an alien family, but very modern. They moved to our planet following the mom who got herself a great job on Earth. The dad is a stay-at-home dad, so he's the one, managing the family on a day-to-day basis. And he's a curious guy who wants to adapt and adjust quickly to this new life. So he tries to do as the people on Earth. So obviously he goes to Black Friday and whatever and buys his things through e-commerce and so on. And every time they have misadventures. So we release those various misadventures through comics and videos. And was the
very
mishap.
Interesting.
So while they're trying to learn to use our products and our devices, but actually have no idea that some of them may have been counterfeited.
Yes.
So the aim is to show through daily life situations how these counterfeit products can be dangerous, fire hazards and so on. And what we wanted to do something simple and funny with all these mishaps that happen to this family so people can relate. Here I would like to show a snippet of the campaign just to provide to our viewers an example of these misadventures.
Yes, why not?
Ibrahim.
Why not? Let's see an extract from that video.
The Mishaps saw their neighbors putting up the Christmas decorations, so they decided to go to the Christmas market to buy the first Christmas tree for their new house. Mandy helped her mum assembling the tree, and Matty was so happy to plug in the Christmas lights, which started playing a lovely song. Baby May was mesmerized by all these colors and sounds. After decorating their house, they all went to sleep, finally feeling at home in this new foreign planet. But they were suddenly awoken by a strange smell. They rushed to the living room to find their beloved Christmas tree on fire due to overheated lights. Marvin unplugged them, but the presents underneath the tree were already lost. While the kids were crying, the parents started wondering why their latest purchases ended up on fire. Not a very Merry Christmas for the Mishaps. Do you know why this happened? The Christmas lights that the Mishaps bought were counterfeited, bearing counterfeit certification marks. This means that they haven't been properly tested before being put on the market, and that rogue operators have falsified the marks. These products can be very dangerous for your health and safety. To learn more about anti-counterfeiting and certification marks, visit our website. Don't have your Christmas ruined. Check the fake and be safe.
Okay, thank you, Hanan. I think this is very nice. I think using this communication, this new way of having communication to the user directly, because that's very important to have the user also understand. And it's funny that also it comes in the time when everyone is talking about aliens. Do they exist or not? We have proofs now that maybe they do exist, and it's fine that we have this visual. So maybe they will use some of Counterfeit products when they come to our Earth. So, but also talking
I'm not
about
sure they'll arrive safely though.
Hopefully they help in the fight in counterfeiting. So talking about technology, I see that also now one of the ways to fight counterfeiting is to have also good databases, have a good digitalization processes. So digitalization now is a trend. We are talking about it since a number of years now, that it helps not only for environment, it helps for processes to be more efficient, but also I think in the counterfeiting problem solving, we can use digitalization as one of the ways. So in IAF, as you know, we have the IAF database that is now being used as the global database for management certificates, where the users from around the world, they can have a certificate and just they can go and check it on the website for the certifications around the world. How do you use digitalization? How do you think that digitalization can be useful for the fight against counterfeiting?
Actually, this is a very good point, Ibrahim. So indeed, we should not overlook what technology can do to help us in recognizing counterfeits. So what we do as a TIC Council, we do have actually under our webpage, the anti-counterfeiting page on our website, our members have created links to their pages where they have blacklisted some of the products that they have found. And also you have the links directly as well to to the certification that they are actually attributing, so as to see whether it's a fake or a genuine certificate. And we also have examples of what a fake certificate could look like. We're building that sort of repository, so to help authorities and law enforcement authorities, actually. So yes, in a way, technology has made everything easier and can help in many ways, but it also is technology that made counterfeiting as well easier, I have to say. A lot of products, as you know, are bought on platforms today, and they're usually shipped directly to our houses in small parcels. These are not checked by customs, so most of the time they're not, at least here in Europe. So that is a big issue that we need to address and see how we can work with those platforms to make them a little bit as
Surely,
well
I think
responsible.
yes, I think Hanan, then we have then to have be one step ahead, as you say, that if they are also using the technology, they can progress on that front, and then they can use the new ways of counterfeiting. They can use new platforms to smuggle the products easier without going through the checks, without needing a conformity certificate to be in such platforms. So I think it's our duty as tech industry and as accreditors and certifiers to see how we can work on those platforms, on how to also have that trade under the control of different law enforcement organizations, and also that conformity assessment is used for such trade. So what is your advice for the tech industry and the operators in the tech industry, so that we can progress on the technology, and also we can work together maybe as networks, help each others, and have this fight as a community and not individually, so that we can have stronger effect on this matter?
Yeah, no, definitely, Ibrahim, there is room for progress on this side. And honestly, I think that there is a long road ahead in our fight against anti-counterfeiting. And this is only one topic. There are room for more cooperation between us, the accreditation bodies, and the whole ecosystem, as I like to call it. We are forming a value chain, right?
Yes.
And that's what we all need to be now become more and more aware of. And that value chain starts with the standardization, goes to the accreditation, and finally conformity assessment body. We are one whole ecosystem, and we need to work hand in hand with these three blocks to create global awareness about this quality infrastructure ecosystem, if you want to call it, and give us a legitimacy to talk to law authorities, to law enforcement authorities, to governments, to other stakeholders. But there are things that we need to align on. We need to create our definition that we are agreeing on of what is this value chain of quality infrastructure and who plays what as a role. And our cooperation will definitely lead not only to making the world a better place, but also to give, as I said earlier, really legitimacy to this value chain.
Exactly. I think this chain of confidence that we are building together must be protected, and we should cooperate together and have joint efforts at the quality infrastructure level, so that we have that confidence and trust that we build now for many years with the consumers, with the law enforcement organizations, with regulators, be protected and enhanced in the future. And one part of it is the tremendous work that you are doing at Tech Council and representing also the tech industry to fight counterfeiting, but also bring new technologies, bring new services and new efforts to make the products safe, protect the environment, and also allow for prosperity around the world. With this, Hanan, I thank you very much for all the information that you gave to us, and I encourage you to continue that fight, and hopefully encourage also all the tech industry to be behind you and support you in this. And with this, our viewers and listeners, we thank you for being with us in this episode. We are trying also in the next episodes to see counterfeiting in medical devices, and we'll have to find some of the experts around the world who can give us information on that. And to end this episode, I will let you with the one video from the mishaps that Hanan told us about it, and I'm sure you'd like to see another episode and other episodes. We give you links in the description. Thank you very much, and see you in the next episode. Thank you, Hanan. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Ibrahim.